like science.
I like science.
I like science.
Hello, we're back.
Hello.
Science.
Welcome to Shield Podulation. To all our podulators out there, we appreciate you.
That's kind of funny you brought that up. I thought of them calling them randos.
That's good too.
'Cause, yeah, I've been thinking lately, like, my favorite murder has murderinos. Morbid has weirdos. Just various podcasts have names for their listeners. I think How Did This Get Made has just jerks.
Fair enough.
So,
Well, randos is better and a lot shorter than podulators. So
modulators.
you listeners, you figure it out yourselves.
So I know I kind of like podulators because it's like regulators from Young Guns. Podulators, saddle up.
Oh God, now we've got a catchphrase. All right. Well, you heard the man. Podulators, saddle up, because we've got an episode to talk about.
We do. That's Brandy, by the way.
And that's Dave, by the way.
Yeah.
And we are married, if you didn't already know.
Yeah, we're a married couple. We're married kelpies. And
That too.
we record random we record reviews of random episodes of Star Trek from television or movies, even shorts.
Mm-hmm.
Episodes are chosen at random. We watch them, we talk about them.
Yep.
Hopefully for your entertainment. So
And
it's not necessarily a watch along kind of thing because we're all over the place, which this episode proves because it's part 2 and a rather inexplicable part 2 without having seen part 1 because I was just thrown in the deep end on this one.
Yes. And even I was struggling because I'm like, oh, wow, I have forgotten everything almost that happened in the first episode of this two-parter, I should say. And the episode in question is Enterprise Season 4, Episode 2, Stormfront Part 2. I have to say it slowly because if I don't, it'll come out Stormfart.
It will come out Stormfart because you want to combine part and the storm.
Yeah.
And the front kind of just disappears.
Yep. That's exactly what happens.
And the title should have given it away because anytime somebody brings up Stormfront, you're going to bring up Nazis somewhere. Because I believe there's a video game that might be called Stormfront about Nazis. There's the character from The Boys. Is one of the superheroes who's a Nazi. I think various levels of video games being called Stormfront. I'm sure there's a novel series. It's just a very Nazi name for something.
It really
Stormfront.
is. Stormfront. It's also a Billy Joel song.
Yes,
that's definitely not about Nazis.
But I was going to use that song for the playlist of over on our YouTube page.
Yes.
Which is under DJ Evil Dave. You'll find not only episodes of the podcast on YouTube, but there is a playlist of songs that share titles with Star Trek episodes. And Stormfront will be added, the Billy Joel song.
Yes, which the song doesn't necessarily have to be about what the episode is about. It just has to match the title of the episode. Yep. That's the whole thing.
As close as I can. And if I can't match it, I won't do it.
Yep. That's fair enough.
Yep.
Fair enough. So, long story short, the NX-01 has somehow ended up in 1930s Earth, and things are not right because there's alien Nazis.
Yeah, their name is similar to the Lord of the Rings Nazguls.
Yes, they are. Let me put my glasses on. Oh my God. I didn't write that down very well. No. Damn.
I think there's something like the Naguls or something like that.
Something like that. I obviously didn't write it down properly. And now I have
Nosferatu looking motherfuckers.
Yeah, they are very much Nosferatu motherfuckers. They have red eyes. Their skin is gray. They have bony faces. This is not
Yep.
just your forehead alien sort of thing. This is
No.
full face prosthetics here, you guys.
Yeah, and they've got weird kind of jigsaw patterns on the back of their necks, going up
Yeah.
either side of their cervix, their neck bones.
That is not the cervix, dear.
That is the cervix. Your bones in your neck are called the cervical bones.
Okay.
There's also the neck of the path leading to the uterus, which is also known as the cervix.
Hmm.
It's like how you have multiple sphincters. It's not just your anus. You have like a stomach sphincter.
Yeah. Okay. I found it. I didn't write it down properly. I misspelled it. It's the not cool. The not
The not
cool.
cool.
The
Okay, so the
not
not
cool.
cool.
The not
Yeah, they're very
cool.
not cool.
The very not cool guys. They, I I we haven't watched part 1 because that's not how this works.
Nope.
And I recall them not knowing for sure how they ended up in this place, but they can't leave.
Right.
And
They're
so
as trapped. Yeah, the not cool are trapped in this year.
yeah. So they are trying to build basically a portal
Yep.
to get
But,
back to their own hijinks,
yeah,
which is
they're
basically subjugating their
refer
universe.
to it as a conduit.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so they've allied themselves with the Nazis because, of course, that's the most logical thing to do. Because these
The
guys
Nazis
are,
that are famous for teaming up with strange looking people that they don't look like.
I think that when you think about it, it actually makes sense because, Nazis wanted to win pretty much at any cost.
Well, also they
And
were allied with the Japanese, which seemed like a
yeah,
strange thing for Nazis to do.
that is a weird thing. And I
But
still don't understand that and never will.
I think they just shared the same ideology of imperialism.
Well, imperialism doesn't work. But anyway,
No,
um, so I think that was they had a deal. They had a sort of contract, a sort of verbal contract that will give you advanced weaponry and
mhm.
you give us resources so that we can do what we need to do. And they're obviously lying about what they're building.
Right. They're
So,
claiming it's some sort of weapon when actually it is this time conduit.
yes, it is. And
And
it
they keep having to
has,
make delays because it's not working. They can't stabilize it.
yeah. And it's interesting because when they finally actually do activate the conduit, I'm like, oh, is Future Guy kind of come through?
Yeah.
Just Future Guy, we don't see him in this. I don't think
Well,
we ever
whoever
see
they
him
were
again.
answering to would project themselves into the past, but they didn't have the power to go back and do stuff. And so they were trying to figure out how to do that.
Yeah. But
Well,
yeah,
that
so
was actually the other side, I think, because
yes.
it is the temporal war,
Yeah, the
Cold
temporal
War.
wars are going on, but that's in a different time period
Yeah,
because temporal wars.
right.
So we will get a little bit of Agent Daniels at the end.
Right.
So skipping ahead, skip ahead.
Yeah,
But
dressed in a very shiny outfit.
yes, very shiny outfit. And then I'm looking at him and trying to age him into Kovich.
Yep. And it looked a little bit like the armor you get off that racist old lady that wants you to steal the Githyanki egg
Yes.
from the
Thank you.
crush in Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes, that is absolutely true.
The one that
That's what it looks
increases
like.
your dexterity.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool armor, especially if you're a monk or a barbarian. But
Oh, yes.
yeah, it's looks a lot like that.
Yeah. So, and we've got our little host of humans from the time period that are also trying to help out. And one of them is oh my God. I can't read any of my handwriting. Something Travers.
It was, I think, Alicia
Alicia.
Travers.
Okay. I don't know that it was Alicia, but I know it was an A word. I swear to God, you guys, and I
I
don't
think it
even
was Alicia
necessarily
because
believe
I
in God.
thought, oh, interesting. Alicia. Okay, I'll remember
Yeah.
that.
Well, let's see. I'm gonna try and find it, find it.
Looking for Stormfront Part 2 cast.
Sort of, but not. Give me a second here. Just blah blah blah, blah 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 blah.
You if you don't say blah blah blah, I could just truncate silence this part.
Oh well, stop it. We're leaving it all in, so damn
Right.
it. It's fine. It's fine. Um.
Now it makes me want to look it up.
Yeah, I'm very annoyed. No, I got it. I got it. Here, look at the cast list. Alicia.
See, I told you.
Alicia Travers. You were right. I'm gonna keep this list up. So, so Alicia Travers, her husband has been taken. She wants him back. She wants her life back. She wants the fucking Nazis gone, the fucking aliens gone. She wants it all gone. So she doesn't do a ton in this episode, really.
She redresses a wound. She tries to throw bullets out of a gun. And she talks to Archer a couple of times.
Yeah, and it feels like not enough, in my opinion.
I think the gangsters she had somehow surrounded herself with did more.
Yeah.
Than anyone.
That's
they had
kind
Tommy
of
guns
disappointing.
and pistols and were distracting the Germans.
Yeah.
While Archer snuck in.
So basically what we have here is a time incursion that was not ever supposed to happen.
Yeah, there's Germany's in the eastern US. Germans in the eastern US. Nazis, not Germans.
It's a little man in the high castle, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Castle, but with aliens. And it's not supposed to work this way. And Daniels is dead.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that from the previously on Star Trek Enterprise thing.
We find out that Lenin had been assassinated and the Soviet regime collapsed. Yeah. So Germany wasn't even worried about the Eastern Front.
Yep. It's like, no, let's go take over the Eastern United States because why not? That sounds like a great idea.
France fell, Belgium fell, then the Germans took England and then concentrated on the Eastern United States. And they even have a war map showing about was it about the Mississippi River where they were stuck, or was it the Ohio River? I think it was one of those two rivers.
Well, the Mississippi goes a fairly long way, so it could be. I mean, it starts up north and goes south. Yeah,
because they had American infantry coming from Ohio attacking the front.
Yep,
and go Ohio. Cleveland rocks.
Cleveland rocks.
Go Bengals and Browns.
Yeah, all of those things.
Yep.
Let me just talk a few seconds about a few of our players here because there's not a whole lot that goes on in this part 2. There's actually very little action.
When you think about it. There's the big confrontation at the end.
Yeah, but up until that point, it's just a lot of talking.
Yeah, there's a lot of phone calls, a lot of hookups, a lot of FaceTimes between Vosk and Archer.
Yeah, so let's talk about Vosk. Vosk is played by a gentleman named Jack Gwaltney, and he was impressive to me because
he's very measured.
He is very measured. He's very subtle. He really doesn't raise his voice very often, except at the very end when he's being turned into spaghetti, basically, because the time portal doesn't work.
Time residue.
Yeah, so he's being turned into goo. But it's really difficult to play a part when your face is completely obscured with prosthetics. And
that's when voice acting really contributes.
And so that's why I was really impressed by his performance, because he managed to communicate things with his voice in this sort of very measured but absolutely creepy way.
Yeah, it's
psychopath, that one.
Well, yeah, he's very much in control, and he doesn't raise his voice, so you don't know that that you're angering him necessarily. And he's insistent and very much keeps his own opinions and is firm and resolute in what he demands and what he's willing to give.
Yeah. And that doesn't seem to be a trait that is specific to his race
No,
because we see other, what is it, not cool? Is that what we said?
not cools. Yeah.
Not cools. The other not cools, they're scientists and they're doing their job and they are a lot more emotional than Vosk appears to be.
Yeah. You even have them standing there just kind of like when he tells this guy to bring in these two men that don't seem to be from this time
Mm-hmm.
and to put them in a cell and find a doctor,
Yeah.
to tend to their wounds or whatever. And that's Trip and Mayweather.
Except it's not Trip, is it?
Well, it isn't later. It is to begin with.
It is, but the scene that there's a scene that happens before that. Like when we see that scene where Trip and Travis are brought in, that's not Trip anymore. That's Silic because we
Oh,
see them in a cell and you see the invisible sort of
right.
figure crawling across the ceiling and then it falls down
Uh-huh.
into the camera. And that's when we know that one of them has been taken over, their appearance has been taken over by Silic.
And
Now,
how did Mayweather not know? Because he's in the room with him. Was he unconscious still?
probably it's hard to say. Maybe Silic knocked him out. I mean, he was invisible at the time. So
And
here's the
how
thing.
did it's
Sorry, go
so
ahead.
confusing because Silic takes over Tripp's appearance. Mayweather doesn't seem to realize that. Somehow Tripp ends up in a different room,
Mm-hmm.
all tied up. How did Silic manage all of this?
Well, he can crawl all over walls
Right.
and
And he
ceilings.
use his finger as a lockpick? Because how does he get out with Tripp from one room and into another? And
You
especially
know,
without being noticed by guards.
well, that's the thing. He's been genetically engineered, and we don't actually know the extent of all of his capabilities.
Yeah.
So, and he didn't ask to be genetically engineered. In fact, the entire Suliban race has been fucked over big time.
Yeah, even
But
by this temporal Cold War scenario,
yeah,
in which case they even tried to prevent them from ever reaching sentience.
assholes. Anyway,
But
John
what a
Fleck.
voice on this guy.
Oh, John Fleck, John Fleck. This is the only time we get to see him. He's played other roles in
Uh-huh.
prosthetics in Star
Oh, I
Trek.
can believe it.
And this is the only time we get to see his actual face. And I could listen to that guy all day. I have always loved Silic as a fold,
Mhm.
a fold, a foil,
A
excuse me,
foil? Right.
a foil. And he's obviously got changeable morals and standards, etc. But
Right.
when you understand where he's coming from, you kind of get that, especially the way
Yep.
his entire race has been treated. So
Well, the irony is that we do get to see his face, but he's pretending to be a human, and that's not
yes,
the character's face, but it is
no,
the actor's face, and I think that's a nice irony.
yeah, it's the actor's face. It's just nice to be able to see that. And of course, we do see Silic in his normal Suliban face as well. And even in that face, he is very good at emoting. So,
I like the makeup. It's kind of like fungus-like,
mm-hmm,
mushroomy.
yeah,
Just there's little like pock marks and just very textured, kind of orangey yellow and green,
yeah.
very plant-like.
I used to feel like it was kind of almost reptilian in his
A little
texture,
reptilian, a little like a sponge.
a little
There's
bumpy,
something kind of sea life about it.
like a Gila monster sort of texture ish.
Yeah, there's like a lizard-like kind of V-like thing, but instead of, scales and being green, it's kind of just very textured. Maybe coral is what I'm thinking of. It's just
Coral, yeah.
a
Okay.
very textured appearance.
Yeah.
It'd be rough against the skin like sandpaper.
Yeah. So I loved seeing just John Fleck being able to show his actual face. Not that he's not great in makeup, because he is. He is excellent. He can do so much with his voice. And he's
And his
another one of
part
those.
is
Sorry, go
written
ahead.
well too.
Yeah. Um, I've always enjoyed Silic, and I'm glad that he has existed throughout the series. because he's been there since season 1. And he's at first he's that kind of guy you love to hate, but then at the same time, if you look at things from his perspective, you're like, would Archer be doing any different if he were in Silik's shoes?
Well, we've seen
So,
Archer go to extremes before.
exactly. So they're
And to
kind of two
prevent
sides.
this time war,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's two sides of the same coin, those guys. So,
There's this confrontation Silik has with these gangsters where they're kind of picking a fight. It's like, we don't need these people. We don't need these fools assisting us. And it's like, oh, you win a prize for that. It's like, why? Because he doesn't get the vernacular because he's an alien.
hmm
So it's interesting seeing this, human looking person just responding weirdly to the slang of this gangster.
yeah. Uh, I find it interesting. I want to know how the universal translators work in a past that has no technology to support a universal translator.
Yeah, there's always that.
I just let it
Um,
go. I just let it go. But I think about it.
I think if your agent's working in time, maybe you've learned multiple languages.
Well, Hoshi has. I mean, why wasn't she down there? Oh,
I
yes,
guess there's
Hoshi. Never mind.
this, maybe it's a YouTube series, but I heard of this guy who speaks multiple languages, and he'll just kind of stand in a corner and see somebody and will talk to them in that language and just see, their manner changes when they hear, their own native tongue spoken by somebody else
hmm
and just have a conversation. And somebody will be like, well, yeah, I was born in Turkey, but then I was raised in France, and then they'll go into speaking French. And, they'll speak in French. And it's just interesting that, some people will be a polyglot like that, especially if, your job requires you to travel through time and space. But yeah, there's just an awful lot of languages when you're talking about aliens and stuff.
Yeah.
So what's weird about like Klingons is Klingons have the Klingon language and Vulcans have the Vulcan language, and you go to Earth and it's like, whoa, there's like hundreds of languages
hmm
because we're all divided into nations.
Well, something that they don't really ever touch on, because there's old Klingon languages
Right.
and there's old Vulcan languages as well that the dialects die out when
Right.
people modernize and kind of merge things together.
Yep.
So as a general rule, it doesn't seem like on any of the Federation worlds that we've seen that there was always one language. It's always more like all these languages homogenized into one.
Yeah, I could see that language is very organic. It evolves over time. We had Old English and then Middle English and then Modern English, the band. Um,
I remember modern
and
English, but I could not tell you a single song that they sing.
and I can imagine, Vulcans and Klingons picking up on like, I guess, is English going to be the standard for Earth, or is there some
Well,
other
yeah,
language?
that's the thing, is that it seems like Earth is keeping its other languages.
Yeah, it does seem like that, and the universal translator just takes care of everything.
hmm
So everybody hears languages in their native tongue, no matter what
Yep.
you're saying,
hmm
which is weird because how does that work with regionalization and things like aphorisms and jokes, stuff that are dependent on cultural identifiers?
Yeah. Well, that's the same when you're translating anything from one
Yeah.
language into another, because sometimes you have to adapt it for the language that you're translating it into. You
Hmm.
have to see, okay, this is what they're trying to express here. But a lot of times they might be cultural references that make
Yep.
no sense, even, in translation,
Yeah.
because it's a
There's
cultural thing.
like how Jack of all trades has different references depending on what country you're in.
hmm
Or there's trying to think of other versions of that, but I think Jack of all trades is a particular one that different countries have different references to that what that means.
Yeah.
Is somebody who's good at multiple things but a master at none of them.
Yeah, which that's usually where people think that stops, but that's not true. Just like how curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back.
Oh,
So, yeah, that's the whole saying, you guys.
ah, yeah.
So, but
What a stitch in time saves nine.
yeah. Well, the thing is a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one.
Right.
So, being a jack of all trades is not an insult, it's actually a bonus.
Was it the whole 9 yards is a military reference to length of shells, I guess?
A length of bullets, basically those
Yeah.
big ass bullets that would just run through a gun,
Yeah.
and
So
they
give
would,
them the whole 9 yards would be to fire every
yeah, give them
piece of ammo.
the
Yeah.
whole reel of this particular ammo. That's
Yeah,
what
because
that
people might
is.
think it references football or something, but
Oh, it absolutely does not.
yeah.
It does not. It has
But
nothing
yeah,
to do with
language
football.
is weird. The universal translator is weird. It really should be a universal interpreter because if
Yes,
it translated, I think you'd lose context.
agree, agree. And let's just say that because of the technology they have, they can do that. That there's
Yes.
context. So, but anyway, so yeah, John Fleck, love you. Silic dies in this episode.
Gets
But
shot in the back, doesn't he?
yeah, well, in the front, really, he
All
gets
right.
he's very bloody, has red blood apparently.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is he going to stay dead? Because
We don't know where
honestly,
his vital organs are, for
yeah,
one
well,
thing.
yeah, but not only that, when Vosk tries to get into the conduit and it all goes horribly wrong, basically everything is resetting itself.
I had
And
questions about that because
yeah, well,
Archer input something into the system. Was he inputting a reset code?
I don't know. It's possible. I don't know exactly what was happening there, but Daniels is involved because
Right.
once that happens, all of a sudden Archer's back with Daniels and Daniels is showing him, look, the timeline's resetting. And
Time travel is so weird.
I know it is. It's hard for our poor little brains to understand. We do not have
Yeah.
enough hard disk space really to be able to understand that in our current way of in our current level of intelligence. So
Yeah,
we can't
because
we can't think in
and fifth
those
dimensional,
dimensions. Yeah.
yeah,
We can't think past three dimensions. We're
because
just
that
not built
was
for it.
really confusing to me. And also, if they did reset it, would they remember that they reset it? Because it would never have taken place.
Well, that's the thing about Daniels. He can
Right.
let you remember or not.
Well, also, doesn't the warp bubble prevent these kind of weird time anomalies?
It can, yes,
Because if you're traveling faster than the speed of light, you should be going backwards in time, supposedly.
supposedly.
Yeah. Because,
So,
if time is relative to space and you're going faster than space, faster than light travels,
yeah.
you're moving faster than the events that you can witness can reach you.
Well, see, that's the thing though, because the warp engines are literally warping space, is it
Right.
actually faster than light travel? Because they are
Ah,
basically shortening the distance
right. So
by
it works like
warping
lensing
space.
space in Dune.
Yeah.
So it's not like an FTL drive like in
Yeah.
Battlestar.
Exactly. So yeah, it's not really going faster than light because they're
Yeah.
warping space.
Because I think I've had the warp bubble described to me before as how it protects you from paradox.
Mm-hmm.
That when you're in the warp bubble, the effects of traveling. So it's not like that weird twin paradox is like you have, send one twin out into space going faster than light, and that twin returns and is younger than the other twin.
Mm-hmm.
Because by traveling faster than light, then yeah, you just stay young.
Yeah. So thank you
Weird.
for coming to our TED Talk on the difference between faster than light travel and warp travel.
Yeah, temporal mechanics are weird.
Yes, they are, and they make my brain hurt.
Yeah.
But they're fun to play with. They're fun to play with
Well,
in science fiction.
also supposedly time is all an illusion anyway, because if you looked at it fifth dimensionally, it'd all be in the same place. It's all one
Yeah.
thing.
It's just a wibbly wobbly timey-wimey ball
Yeah. But
of
because we
stuff.
exist on that space, somehow we're witnessing it
Yeah.
as it passes.
Okay, we've broken everybody's brains now.
Yeah, that's just weird. Then they hit the reset button. It's like, how did that happen? So none of it happened.
Well, that's the thing is the Agent Daniels is working with like 29th century technology.
Right.
So
So there is nobody witnessing the Enterprise having a dogfight with a bunch of German Messerschmitts.
not again, not again. No, no, that's erased. That's been
Yeah.
unwritten. So there's really not a whole lot to talk about in this episode because of no action very much until the end.
You get Hall's edge of seat captaining.
Yes. It's like, honey, is your butt cheeks going to
You've
sleep?
got an
Because mine would.
entire chair to sit in. I don't know why you're perched at the very edge of it.
I don't know. It's just a thing that Paul does. And maybe it's
Yeah.
because she doesn't like to be comfortable when she's in command. Because if she gets
Mm.
comfortable, she gets complacent. Maybe. I
Certainly
don't know.
likes getting in Mayweather's personal space.
Oh,
And
yes,
she's
she does.
leaning over him as he's piloting.
Who doesn't love getting in Mayweather's space?
Those two
Because
are steamy. It's just like I could watch this scene forever. Just her leaning next to him as he's piloting the ship is like this I can get into.
yep.
Just the two of them, just
Yeah.
her captaining him and he's piloting.
Yeah. You go for it.
Yeah.
Um,
But nope, she ends up with Trip.
sort of, but not.
Yeah.
Actually, I was very disappointed, and don't even get me started on These Are the
Yeah.
Voyages. That episode is dead to me. So,
Well,
but
Lower Decks is kind of retconned that one anyway,
I
so
know, right?
yeah.
But still.
Because the holodeck is not to be trusted for one thing.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? So yeah, I love the gangsters coming to help. That was fun.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so
Alicia,
basically,
if you're watching this episode, watch her shoot this gun.
mhm,
She does it like they did in the Superman serials. Anytime
yeah.
gangsters would be shooting at Superman, they'd like jam their guns forward as they were firing. It's like that's
Hmm.
not how guns work. It's not like a slingshot or
No,
something. It's like you
no.
pull the trigger. I mean, most likely you're gonna not hit a thing because you're jerking your hand around. You have no balance.
Yeah, it's point and click, basically. You point the gun, you pull the trigger. That's all there is to it. You don't have to move it out. You have to just hold it steady. If you want to hit
Mm.
something, you have to hold it steady, not just jerk it around.
And nobody's even bracing.
No,
Nobody's putting like the gun in the palm of their other hand to steady it to get a
nope,
better shot off. But ooh,
nope.
somebody got shot in the neck. I mean, you
Oh,
talk
I
about there's
know.
not a
Ooh.
whole lot of action in this. It's like
Well,
that final battle.
this is really the only action, though, is this final battle. Because up
Yeah.
to this point, it's just a lot of talking, 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 talking.
Well, yeah, there's not even a whole lot of movement of the plot, really, I guess.
Mm-mm.
Because, yeah, it's a lot of conversations, a lot of moving of the chess pieces, a lot of very congenial discussions between Vosk and Archer, a hostage exchange, and
They're very wary of each other.
which seemed odd, but seemed like plot specific, so Selleck could get onto the Enterprise.
Yeah, well, I think it was more of that thing of I need this guy's help because the
Yeah.
Germans aren't good enough. The Germans are not going to get things done the way they need to be done in time. And
Yep.
so he's trying to get Archer on his side.
Because
And
of advanced technology.
because of advanced technology,
Right.
even though their technology is more advanced than the current level of well, it's not even the Federation yet, the current level of Starfleet, which isn't even really Starfleet yet. He needs those resources.
Yeah.
So he's trying to play nice. He's trying to encourage a collaboration. And Archer was never going to do it, but he still tries. Fosk still tries being and sounding completely reasonable, except he's horrible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Vosk is quite a package because, yeah, he's trying to delay so he can get this conduit going. There's a lot of pressure on the Germans because I guess they're not doing well on the front and they want to return to to Berlin. and are demanding this weapon. And of course, Vosk is saying, well, people need to be properly trained. Your sources aren't correct in whatever espionage they've been
Yeah.
executing on us, Your guys are spying on us, but their information is incomplete. And
Yeah.
eventually, this German general is like, that's it. We're going, back up. We're leaving now. And that's when Vosk shoots him. And
Yeah.
as his guards fumble for their guns, even though they're holding them, he shoots them too.
Yeah.
So
Well,
he takes out this general and his two guards.
yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like they weren't building a weapon for them. They were building
No.
the conduit. They were never
Yep.
going to give the Germans a weapon. They used them. That was the only reason that the Germans were there, is because Vosk needed them.
And another piece
So,
of irony is Vosk's speech to the other not cools.
yeah.
As he gets up right in front of the conduit and talks about how time is for them to craft to their will and to the betterment of their particular race, not any other races,
Mm-mm.
theirs.
Theirs only.
It's very specifically for the not cools, and it was very similar to one of Hitler's speeches, just about
Exactly.
the fatherland and the master race and all this bullshit.
Hmm.
Um, what did you think of our newsreel in
I
the
was just
opening?
thinking about that actually. And obviously that was actual footage
Oh,
from
that
World.
Nazi rally in Madison Square Garden, that's an actual thing.
Yes, yes. Uh, and that's the thing. It's just like, wow, they are going into the archives for this and actually using the real footage. Well done. And of course,
Yep.
the voiceover changes a little bit
Yep.
because they're talking about how, the Nazis are being welcomed into the country and all this shit.
And this is one of those episodes where their reach exceeded their grasp
Mm,
with the effects.
mm-hmm.
Because we get a shot of the White House with Nazi banners on it and some
Oh,
kind
it
of
was
German vehicle
terrible.
in front. And it looked like PlayStation 2 kind of
it
graphics.
it looked like an old model, a really old model. Now, granted, this would
Yeah.
have been right around, let's say 2006, 2007.
Hmm.
But even so, it was just like, that looks like you built it out of plastic. It was just
It looks like
not
they were
good.
playing a Sims game.
Yeah,
And somebody
yeah,
built the
yeah.
White House in it and put Nazi banners on it. Oh my God, so
Yeah,
many swastikas in this episode. You could have a
yeah,
drinking game every time you see a swastika.
right.
It makes sense because they're Nazis and that was
Yeah,
their whole deal or the whole spiel.
yeah. They took a Native American symbol and tilted it on its side and made it
It
a
was
horrible thing.
Indian symbol
Oh,
too.
Indian symbol, excuse me.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it is also Native American. It's a symbol that's been seen. I think it's been seen in Greece as well
Hmm.
because it's a pretty simple thing. Just
Yeah.
this
It's like a
crooked
wheel.
cross, but usually it's not at that 45-degree angle that the
Hmm.
swastika is. It's usually at 90-degree angles. But in, I think, East India, it represents the four directions.
Yeah, that makes sense. I always thought of it as, well, not only depicting the four directions, but the four seasons.
The four seasons, and just four, numerologically speaking, often means like order and trying to think of another way to say order, but harmony.
Mm,
I mean, two is better for harmony, but four is like even in the tarot where it's the emperor and is very regulated and very authoritarian and stuff. And you can get that with the swastika in Nazi Germany, but also it's the order of things, and I could see, patterns of the seasons happening in a specific order or the directions being, very cardinal or
mm,
east, west, north, and south being very specific. They're not going to change. Those directions are fixed, and that's a very four kind of pattern.
yeah.
But yeah, it's affecting this like our Selleck getting all kinds of rubbery so he can go through a vent. Him falling on top of Trip was like,
Yeah. Not not the best. But again, honestly, the last 10 years have been almost revolutionary where visual
Mhm.
effects are concerned.
Well, still, we're dealing
And
with the television budget too, and
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
there's only so much. Because
Exactly.
even with the Arrowverse and with like Legends of Tomorrow, some of the stuff they'd have to do with computer graphics was limited because
Mm-hmm.
you can only afford so much on what the television network gives you.
Agreed. Agreed. All right. Well, yeah, timeline resets itself, everything goes back to normal, and suddenly Enterprise is on approach to Earth and hoping that it's in their own time. And then all these ships come out to greet them and escort them in. I
So
thought it
all
was
these
nice.
ships, they must have realized what happened too.
Yeah. They
So
is
I
so
guess
yeah.
in, uh, if you're after the timeline in which the time had been changed, you can remember it. But if you were during the time in which the time was changed, you do not.
I don't know. I don't necessarily look at it like that. I don't think that were necessarily responding to them coming home and basically celebrating them for whatever they did. I think it was more like that ship had been through hell
All
and
right,
it was coming home, they were coming home heroes from all the other stuff that they did. So
right. It was
especially
unclear. It was a very unclear ending.
well, that's the thing, because at the end of season 3, that is the end of the whole Zindi arc.
Right.
And
Okay.
so basically their ship is busted up to hell, and
Yes, it is.
they're just trying to go home. They just want to go home. And so that's the thing. This two-parter of Stormfart
Eight.
let's call it Storm.
Stormfront
Let's
Part 2.
but it's a two-parter, yes. So this
Right.
whole thing of Stormfront altogether basically interrupts them from going back home. And so when they finally get back to their real time, that's when they're like, is this the real time? And instead, they're getting a hero's welcome, not for what
Right.
they did in the past, but for, what they did with the Zindi.
Yeah, as a standalone episode, it's confusing.
It is.
If you
It
watch
is.
it with the entire season, I could see maybe that's what they're responding to. But when Hoshi goes out looking for signals, she
Mm-hmm.
puts a calling out and then gets some responses. Aha, we're
Mm-hmm.
in the proper timeline, we're at the proper location. The timeline doesn't seem to have changed. It
Yeah.
lends to the fact that everybody coming to greet them might be coming in celebration of them having fixed the timeline
Mm.
because she's excited about that. The people on the Enterprise are excited about that. Why isn't everybody else excited? But they're excited for a different reason, and that's the end of the Zindi conflict, maybe?
That's my take on it.
Okay, and so the rest of season 4, because this is part 2 of,
Mm-hmm.
this is episode 2 of the 4th season, so there's more to go in season 4. And so there's
Yeah.
no more Zindi in season 4?
Nope. That's the whole
Okay,
thing. They're basically uh well, and Hoshi had also been through hell at the end of season
right.
3. So yeah, season 3 is tough, and it took risks that I actually was really impressed with, because they could have just backed away from certain things and they didn't.
Right.
And like that episode where Archer just takes that ship's warp core, or
Mm-hmm.
warp conduit, and
Yep.
he takes
Everything's a
it,
conduit.
and everything's a conduit, absolutely everything. So anyway, yeah, I don't know that I have much else to say about this episode.
There's really not much else to talk about. I think we addressed most everything,
Mm-hmm.
uh, even the war map. Oh, here's one thing I was going to talk about is Malcolm.
Oh
Not a
yes.
whole lot for Malcolm to do other than he had to target things manually because their targeting system was on the fritz.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I'm using a lot of German in this. Yeah, so he had to just eyeball it. He's like, let's do this old school, bring up an old, visual targeting system to attack this base.
Yeah. Well, there were a lot of people who didn't have a lot to do in this episode. So
Yeah. Well, you were also splitting it with some additional cast for the stuff on Earth, where you had the
mm-hmm.
gangsters and Alicia. Then you
Well,
had Selleck and Vosk, and you had to deal with that. And then you had all the Germans. It's pretty much packed.
it is. And I feel like if you are going into the past, or going into a situation where you are a fish out of water, that you don't want to spend a lot of time on the ship because we know about the ship.
Yeah.
We know how the ship works. We
We
need
get
to
to
find
spend
out
some
what's happening
time in
elsewhere. Yeah.
Canada,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
looks like the back lot of someplace that looks like New York of the
Yeah.
1930s.
Yep. 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 Indeed. All right then. Well, that was Stormfront Part 2.
What
And
did you think of this episode, though? I mean, other than
eh,
just, yeah.
there are aspects of it that I like, but honestly, it is not my favorite.
Yeah,
I
it seemed like
feel
you were just bored by all the talking and none of the pew
it's
pew.
it's not that. It's just that I feel like there was not enough plot. There wasn't enough movement. And
Yeah,
I don't mind people talking. That's not my problem at all. You know this.
right.
But they just weren't talking about anything. It's like it was the same stuff over and over again. So it just it's it's not a terrible episode, but it's also not my favorite. So it's kind of hits like at middle tier for me.
Yeah, I could see that. There's bits about this I like,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
but just Vosk just gaslighting everybody around him, trying to delay for this conduit. It gets old after a while.
It does. It does. And putting off the Nazis and all
Uh,
that. It just is so it's a bit repetitive.
and I think it would been as cool and collected he is, I think it would been interesting if we saw the pressure getting to him
Mm,
because he was under the gun and we
yeah,
just never quite got that. Though he did kill that general and his guards, so that
yeah.
was a bit. And I guess it was desperate to work with Archer try to get, some technology and try to influence him on to their way of thinking. But yeah, it's just kind of a what kind of episode.
Yeah.
It would have been better if I had uh, remembered part one.
No, no, it wouldn't have.
Uh, no,
It
no
wouldn't have.
changes.
It
Yeah.
really, I don't think it would have improved for you. But
Hmm.
I mean, you can watch part one if you want and see what happens, but we won't be talking about it unless it comes up on
And
our
it
spreadsheet.
feels a little also like they're just retreading what they've done in the original series.
Yes.
Was it The City on the Edge of Forever? Is that the one that's it
Yes.
takes place in?
The Guardian of Tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, Guardian of Tomorrow, Nazi stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, then we've got the fun part now.
Oh yeah, we get to pick the next episode. I'm hoping for some discovery, but we'll see. We haven't done original series either, and of course, Prodigy,
Yeah.
Strange New Worlds.
Yeah. All of
Have we
those
done a
things.
Lower
Lord.
Decks? I don't think we have.
No, we haven't done any lower decks at all. The
Yeah, so
only new Trek stuff we've done is that one short, as far
Picard.
as I remember.
Yeah, just a couple of things at Picard, and that
Oh
kind
yeah,
of half
Picard.
doesn't
Why do I keep
count
forgetting Picard?
because
Ugh.
it's like it's just
It's just the
next
next generation part two.
generation 2.0.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Why do I keep doing that? Okay, then
it doesn't
let's
feel like New Trek as much as the other series does.
let me get my pen so I can write down the number because you
Yeah,
know
because
how
yeah,
my
we've
ADHD
had a
works.
problem before where we've forgotten the number right after hearing it.
Yeah. ADHD. Okay. Hey Siri, give me a random number between 1 and 944. Oh, you didn't even talk to me.
Yeah, I didn't even hear
Uh,
it.
162. So that's
That's
early
early
times.
days.
Let me write this down.
That's not quite early enough to
162.
be um original series. That might be
Do you know how
next
many
generation.
episodes there were in original series? There were a lot, but I think you're right.
69 if they had 23 episode series back then.
No, they had like 26, 28 episodes in some of the seasons. There's
Yeah,
three
it'd
seasons.
still be too late for that.
Yeah, I think we're going to be in TNG. You're right. Let's see. 162, 162, 162. There you are. Nope. Let me put my glasses on and make sure that's not a 5. Okay. Yep. 162 is season 3 of TNG, episode
Right.
8, The Price.
So this should be Bearded Riker.
I'm pretty sure we've got
Hopefully.
Beardy Riker in this. Yeah. because I think that
So
started in season
the
3.
price.
The
Season
price.
3,
It
episode what
sounds
now?
dire. Season 3, episode 8.
Season 3, episode 8. The price.
The price. Dun
So
dun
Vincent makes an
dun.
appearance.
What?
Vincent
Vincent?
makes an
Vincent.
appearance.
If only. I love Vincent Price.
Yeah, that or Bob Barker.
I don't think it's either of those things, but
The
yeah,
price. In
it
a
sounds
post-scarcity society, what would the price be?
well, that's thing. I don't think they mean it like that. I think it's the
Okay.
price of, what's the price of a life, or what is the
Oh,
price of an action to protect your people, or something like that. I'm not good at remembering what an episode is about, just from the name, because Next Generation has so many episodes,
yeah.
so many, and
Didn't
same thing
South
with Deep
Park
Space
tell
Nine.
us that the price is 350? Everything is 350?
Sure.
Yeah, you're correct. TNG does have like the most episodes of any Star Trek because what, it
It
ran
does
for
not.
7 season,
It
didn't
does
it?
not have the most of
Or
any
it is
Star Trek,
Voyager.
because Voyager and Deep Space Nine also had 7 seasons.
Oh, so they're all kind of tied.
Yep.
For some reason, I thought Next Generation went a little longer, unless we count
Nope.
Picard as a continuation, and then it gets
I don't.
a few more episodes.
But yeah,
So
7 seasons
Deep Space
for each of them.
Nine, Voyager, Next Generation, all 7.
Hmm.
All right.
Yep. So, despite the fact that I'm curious, I'm not going to look up what this episode is about. I'm just going to find out when we watch it.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, since I
Season
can't
3,
remember.
Episode 8, The Price.
Also, I don't want any of you out there to tell me. Don't tell me. Dan, that means you. Patrick, that means you. Tim, that means you. Do not tell me what
Are
this
people going to
episode's
send you
about.
synopsis of the episode we're about to watch?
Yes, please don't. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's kind of pointless.
Yeah,
We're
please
going
don't
to
do
watch it
that.
anyway. It's like
Yeah,
we'll learn soon enough.
yeah. And I mean, some I can remember, but some I cannot.
Yeah,
But just
some
by title.
stand out, but this one, yeah, I don't recall anything.
I'm sure it's going to be dramatic, but yeah. So there we
Probably.
go.
TNG was known for that
TNG.
sort of thing.
Back to TNG. I don't think it's a Klingon one this time, but we don't know. We'll see when we
Well,
watch
we'll see. Maybe Worf will have trouble opening a door,
it.
or something will fall on him, or he'll get punched by somebody who he really should be more powerful than.
Or he'll do his weird Tai Chi thing, or
Yeah, that's true.
Klingon Tai Chi.
He'll tell somebody that Klingons don't do something.
Yes. Or Klingons
Klingons
do
don't laugh.
something, or they
Yeah,
do
they
something.
do. Yeah.
Klingons do this. Okay. So yeah, our podcast is on YouTube. If you don't remember
It is
that,
on
it's there.
YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
DJ Evil Dave,
Yep.
with underscores, because I don't think I could have gotten another one,
Yeah.
another name.
Yeah.
You can find us on Hear This episodes. If you don't like Apple, you don't like Spotify, I put the MP3 directly to the site called Hear This. You can listen or even download episodes there. SoundCloud, I put up the most recent episode. There's all your podcatchers, Spotify, Apple Podcasts mostly. Yeah, you can find us pretty much everywhere. We've got account on Blue Sky, Shield Podulation. Don't worry about the underscore there. I'm also on Blue Sky as DJ Evil Dave, no underscores.
And I'm on there as Brandywine,
Yeah, so
because I got in early.
come follow, come chat, rate and view if that's kind of a thing you're interested in doing.
Indeed.
Mostly word of mouth. If you like this, you want to get other people into it.
Yep.
That's probably the best way to, as recommendations. It's like, hey, you like Star Trek? Here's this weird show where they talk about random episodes. And you never know what's going to come up.
This
And
is
they're both
true.
very weird to make weird connections, weird references.
Yes,
Like,
that's
who
what we
thought
do.
we'd have a bit on temporal mechanics and the evolution of languages in this one?
Well, that the whole evolution of languages thing was was the thing from episode 1 of Enterprise.
Right.
So yeah, because they find a Klingon
Mhm.
and they have to bring
Don't
in
you hate when
someone who
that
can
happens?
translate. Yeah. So yeah, my usual shout outs. Thank you, Dan, again for the use of your spreadsheet and for letting us steal your idea. because it's something we used to do on Unreading Room between
the random episodes
episodes of actual new Trek.
Mm-hmm.
So sadly, those
Except
days
there
are
was
over
also
because people are
voting
busy.
involved.
Yes, there was voting involved, but there was a lot of randomness to it.
Yep.
And thanks to Patrick for being Patrick and knowing everything about Voyager and and most of Trek, really, pretty much all of Trek. And Tim, I'm not sorry I made you buy comics. Ha ha!
Oh, he got him into buying the Star Trek comics. What, the Lore War one?
I think and if you haven't listened to that episode of Positively Trek, you can listen to it wherever you find your podcasts. But it's all about Lore War #1, and that starts off so batshit insane that I can't help but just love being along for the ride.
Right.
So there we go. All right, then I guess that's all for us on this day. And we shall see thee 2 weeks hence. Correct? Yes, correct. 2 weeks hence. Dave, have you anything else to say?
No, just kind of racking my brain in case there's anything I forgot to mention about this episode. Nothing's coming to mind. So yeah, I think we're done, and we'll be revisiting Next Generation next episode, and eventually we'll run across one of the other series.
Please give me some Discovery. Please, universe.
One of the other movies even would be interesting. So
yeah,
just, the random nature of thing. Of course, we're going to hit the ones that have the most seasons, and that we have. We've hit DS9, we've hit Voyager, we've hit TNG, and surprisingly a lot of Enterprise too. But yeah, that's a lot, and just haven't hit those 900s quite that much.
Indeed, 800s and 900s. Well, high, sort of like mid 700s to 900s is what we're looking for new Trek. So
yeah, and we'd have to get under 100 to do original series. So
yeah.
All
right. In fact, I'm just gonna take a peek again at this spreadsheet because I want to know where the cutoff is here.
Oh, for original series?
Yeah.
And for new Trek?
Oh yeah. See, okay. So actually, original series ends at 101.
Oh.
And then there's the 4 movies. There's Motion Picture, Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, and Voyage Home. So that puts it at a total of 105 for that particular era of Trek. And then, of course, we have Star Trek 5 and 6 interspersed with other newer stuff. Like Undiscovered Country is sandwiched in there at 216. And whatever Final Frontier was sandwiched in there at 150. So yeah, but the rest of that is just TNG up in there. So
up in here.
All right.
I'm about to lose my mind. Up in here.
All right. We have gone fully off the rails. Thank you guys for joining us and for listening to our ramblings. And we will see you. Well, we won't see you. Well, we might see you on social media, but next week. Tune in, not next week. Tune in 2 weeks.
In a fortnight's time.
In a fortnight. And I'm not talking about the video game. We don't play Fortnite. In a fortnight, join us again for Shield Podulation, where we will talk about TNG's The Price is Right. Okay, bye.
Bye.